Hello everybody, thanks very much for joining me on this episode in the Philatelovely YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk about the basics of stamp collecting, including some essential equipment that you might need. Then I'll talk about the different options you have for storing your stamps, and I'll share with you how I keep my collection. First of all, I need to say that there's no right or wrong way for you or anybody to collect stamps. Philately is a very personal hobby, and you have to collect what interests you, whether that's a particular theme, stamps from a particular country, or anything that just catches your eye. It's completely up to you. The first piece of equipment I would recommend is getting some tweezers or tongs. They're really important for preventing the grease and oils on your hands from getting onto your miniature works of art. They come in various shapes and sizes, but I use these two styles mostly. First, we have the spade end tweezers. I find these really useful when sorting through a big bundle of stamps, picking a few out to put in my stockbooks. Then, we have the straight end tweezers. These are more precise than the spade end tweezers, and I find these perfect for looking at a stamp underneath a magnifying glass and that sort of thing. Once again though, if you're going to get a pair of tweezers, get the ones that you're most comfortable with. It doesn't really matter what shape or size they are, as long as they work for you. Here we have one of my Great Britain stockbooks, and this is how super easy the spade end tweezers are to use. They don't put too much pressure onto the stamp, and they make it easy to move the stamp about and put it back in the stockbook. And more importantly, I don't have to touch the stamps with my bare hands. The next piece of handy equipment I would recommend getting is a magnifying glass or a magnifier. Any of them will do, as long as you can get a good clear view of your stamp. These are the two that I use. I mostly use this, my handheld magnifying glass. It provides a really good clear image and perfect for picking out some of the finer details. Next is this desktop magnifier. It comes with LED lights and also UV lights. It gives a lovely close image. As you can see here, you can see so much more detail than a normal handheld magnifier. The next piece of equipment I use is this perforation gauge. I wouldn't necessarily say this is a must-have piece of equipment, especially if you're just starting out, but it can be a very useful tool. Probably one of the most important things you can use is a stamp catalogue. Now there are quite a few online catalogues, such as stampworld.com, but personally I love being able to flick through the pages of a physical copy. There's a few different types of catalogues you can use, from worldwide catalogues with more of a general view, to individual country catalogues, and specific thematic types as well. This Scott catalogue from America has colour images of all the different stamps, and then on the other page gives you the corresponding information. This catalogue from Germany is all about unusual and curious stamps. Again, it has colour images and all the information about the stamp next to it. The next catalogue I use is this Stanley Gibbons Great Britain catalogue. As you can see, again, there's colour images of every stamp and information about all of them. This is an old Stanley Gibbons catalogue. It was my dad's. Again, I really like flicking through this and looking at the images of the stamps and learning a bit more about them. And lastly is my British Commonwealth to 1970 catalogue by Stanley Gibbons. It goes into another level of detail and is probably the catalogue I use the most. The best thing about catalogues is that there's probably one for every type of collector out there. Now we'll have a look at my collection and how I store it. I've been collecting stamps since I was quite young, when my dad split his collection up between me and my brother. I now mainly collect Great Britain and British Commonwealth, and keep the bulk of my collection in stockbooks like this one. I just find them really easy to use, and overall I think they show off the stamps quite well. Each page is protected by a glacine sheet, and this gives an extra level of protection to your stamps. I also have a couple of the more traditional type stamp albums, like this Simplex album by Stanley Gibbons. It's where I keep my jersey collection. The main difference between this sort of stamp album and say a stockbook is that you have to mount the stamps to the pages. Now you can use a little folded piece of gummed paper known as a stamp hinge, where it sticks to the back of the stamp and then onto the page. But this does leave a mark on the back of the stamp. The solution to this is to actually attach a stamp mount to the page, and then you can just pop the stamp inside it. The other benefit to this type of album is that you can write on the pages next to each stamp. You can put down any information that you think is necessary, including who designed the stamp, who printed it, any design flaws or errors, and pretty much any information that you like. The last style of album that I use comes with pre-printed pages, like this Darvo album for Australia. It comes with a space for each individual stamp and a mount for each stamp as well. Darvo albums are quite a premium product, but I do think they show off the stamps really well. You don't have to get a Darvo album though if you want pre-printed pages. You could design your own, or go onto one of the numerous websites where you can download them and print them off yourself. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and found some of it interesting. Just remember, collect what stamps you want to collect, and don't let anybody tell you what's right and what's wrong. It's entirely up to you. Please feel free to follow me on all social medias and get in touch if you have any questions. Thanks a lot everybody.